Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inspiration with Dr. Ballah. We are here again on another edition. It's great being here. Today, I'm excited to have with me in studio and just to join my conversation today to discuss cultural shock. Inspiration with Dr. Bala has been great. I've been excited to have people coming here with me who personally inspire me. I only bring people here who inspire me, and I think that when they inspire me, I don't want to be selfish. I use my platform to bring them over to also inspire people who I do inspire. Those of you who following us from YouTube, from Facebook, uh, regular viewer, we want to say welcome to Inspiration with Dr. Bala. Today we're going to be discussing cultural shock. So we are coming from China, and some of us been around for a while, but we're gonna be sharing experiences from China, and definitely it kind of correlate to many of the same cultural shock that people experience from other part of the world. Once you leave from another culture to another culture, you're probably going to have that. So we're going to be discussing the whole concept, and I'm hoping it's going to be therapeutic for ourselves. Tomorrow is my wedding anniversary, my wife's birthday, and I'm in China, distant, just kind of things, all those kind of emotional things, all of that. People miss home when it's their loved one birthday and you're far away. How do they feel? How do they feel like? How can you cope with that? Or sometimes you want to eat that special dish from home, right? And you're far away, you don't kind of find that kind of dish. How do you feel? How can you cope with that? Or you're studying in another culture that is completely different from yours. Educational system, language is all completely different. How do you cope with that? And of course, many people have survived this kind of situations, this kind of experiences for 10 years, 8 years, and 15 years. In fact, they make plans to live in different culture, completely different from theirs. And so we're going to be having that discussion today. So I have a very special guest with me. I will be introducing her later, but we will be back very soon. So just keep tuned as you follow us. I'm going to be bringing live here a very special guest today who I think going to help us, um, yes, make the discussion more spicy. Okay, so welcome back. I have a maid in studio. I believe she's already here. I see her there in the backyard. I'm gonna be bringing her on song. I have a maid in studio today, a very special guest who gonna be joining me for this discussion, and I'm gonna introduce her briefly. Her name is Joelle Choco Conway, and she is joining me from Shanghai. I'm not really good. I was kind of afraid to pronounce his name because it's gonna look very well connected. I hope I did it well. Yes. So she is a young health worker. I put it that way, and she desired to contribute immensely to the transformation of the health system in the world, right? Even though she's from Liberia, West Africa. Sorry for that break in. Sorry for that break in and that technical interruption. We back. Sorry for the break in. Sorry for the technical interruption. So, like I said, we're glad to have joining us today. In studio this special guest. I think I said she a graduate of the Cottington University in Liberia, where she did her bachelor degree in biology, and her desire for higher education, especially in the health profession, pushed her to travel to China, where she is currently pursuing a higher degree in medical in the medical field at the Shanghai uh, University of Traditional Chinese Medicine, and she's doing integrated Western and Chinese medicine. So she's not just doing acupuncture. She want to be a doctor and also doing Chinese medicine. Well, she's also an emotional writer, and currently she's working on a book project that is to be published soon toward inspired to be a medical personnel in the future. She also is very passionate about motivational speaking. So she have couples of motivational videos on her page, on her YouTube page. I personally have watched some of those motivational videos. That actually where I get connected to her. I wanted to know who is this young lady just speaking to the heart, speaking these kind of powerful messages. And I think she has a lot to give to the world. And so that was one of the reasons why, in fact, I'm like, whoa, that's somebody who had inspired me with her motivational messages. And then not just speaking, I got to know she's doing medicine, not just Western medicine. She's doing integrated Western and traditional medicine in China, for that matter. So I guess her Chinese is very good. She might be speaking something to us here today. So welcome, Joel. Good to have you. I'm gonna be bringing you on stream now. I'm glad to have you joining me today.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the
Oh,
invite.
yeah, thank you. So Joel is joining me today, and they get did the introduction. We and talk about what we'll be talking about today. We're gonna be talking about cultural shock. So let me start first of all by giving a little bit of what cultural shock is. I came to China in the first time I came to China was in 2011, and I came to do medicine. But then I came on a bilateral government scholarship, and one of the requirements was to study the Chinese language. And we were in China by August. We started, the language school by September, and we were expected by April, May to have passed the Chinese level 4, level 5. And if you didn't, get that standard, you were not going on to medical school, you are going back home. And whereas a young man with that opportunity, you just needed to study, you have a luxurious, apartment, and you've been paid every month for going to school. Why would you want to go back home because you can pass Chinese language? So so it was a tough task, but it was something we were ready to do. And so you could see people in the library, people stuck in the classroom memorizing Chinese. Initially, I didn't believe I could learn Chinese. I was like, okay, let me see. But in 3 months, I could go to this supermarket by myself, and there was just so much, excitement, like eating Chinese food, going to the Chinese restaurant, and just exploring the area, just crazy. I call that a honeymoon time. Like I was in China, and I was not just in China, but I was into China. I wanted to try everything and some crazy food, some this and some that, Chinese friends. And now when I look back, I'm like, wow, did I actually do those things? Well, but after 3 months, 4 months, by the time I was hitting 6 months, things started to change. It started to dawn on me a little bit that I was in a complete different place. The food started looking different to me. I started to miss my Liberian food. I started to, miss my cycle of friends. I started to miss home. I started to miss a lot of things. So it came completely different. But the first 3 months, forget it. It was like a honeymoon. I was excited. I was crazy. I was all into the place. But after that honeymoon season, then reality set in, right? I was now in China. The food, the environment, that when I started to see the difference between the Chinese culture and my culture. And I can tell you for sure, it was a shock. That when the shock came in, right? And so moving into another culture, usually if you go for tourism, maybe the first 1 or 2 months, you actually don't have you won't experience what we're about to talk about. Cultural shock, no. 1 month, 2 months in the luxurious hotel, you're going to the fancy places and everything. Come on. So if you have traveled to a country just for a 2 weeks conference or 1 month conference, the possibility of not experiencing cultural shock is very high. So on the average, you're actually going to start experiencing, start seeing the difference, start, getting the taste of what cultural shock is after 3, 4, 5 months. That when you really start to see the difference in food, in the living, and in the different things. So, Joel, you've been in China for a while. How long you been in China?
Oh, I've been in China for about 3 years now.
3 years. Okay, so
Yeah.
definitely, I think you passed the honeymoon stage and you gone far, far, far beyond.
Yeah, sure.
We're talking about, yeah. So talking about cultural shock, have you ever experienced cultural shock?
Especially in China, I've experienced a lot of cultural shock. Yeah.
Wow, a lot of cultural shock. Tell me about it.
So the first cultural shock I experienced when I first came to China, it was about the language barrier. You know,
Mhm.
so coming to China, I didn't even know how to say hello in Chinese, and and I came to China and I had nobody to pick me from the airport. So in my mind, I felt like I can do this. I'll just get at the airport and I'll find my way. Get the address. But when I got at the airport, I realized that you barely even find people speaking English. When you say hello, they say hello, and the next thing when you ask a question, they're like Timbudong.
What is Timbuktu? I beg you because it's okay. Don't start.
So that was literally like the first Chinese word I learned from the airport. Like
Timbuktu.
almost everyone Timbudong. They don't understand. Okay, means I don't understand. you know? Yeah. So that was one aspect of it. And another thing is that China is a very developed country and they have lots of technology. So being a girl from Liberia, the easiest means of transportation in Liberia is, taxi and buses. And even the taxi, like we have to squeeze together four together, four persons seated, at the back seat. But in China, you have to take the taxi alone, and you have to travel like underground almost every day through the subway. And I didn't even know how to purchase a subway ticket because it's in Chinese and they have English, although they have English, but like I could barely even find my way because I don't even know the location. And the city, and like the city I was going to is like Zhengzhou, you know. So in my mind, when someone tell me Zhengzhou, I know like it starts with the letter J, cause
So you're looking for a J
but
instead of
J,
a Z.
yes, and I couldn't see J. I'm like, what's going on? Like, it starts with the letter Z, so it's completely different. And another thing is that when you go to the local restaurant to eat, I expect to have seen spoon at least or maybe fork to eat with.
And then you
They
have the
brought me
chopstick.
chopsticks. They brought me chopsticks. So I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? I can't eat with this. I was telling the food seller, I want spoon. And when I came to China, I was
Timbuktu.
using Android and I didn't even have had a translator on my phone, so I couldn't even translate what I want to say. So it was really bad for me. And another thing that is a little bit terrible that I haven't even adjusted to in China, which is
But
a culture shock.
let me interrupt a little bit, Joel. So
Okay,
yours started on a rival because
exactly.
I mean you
Exactly.
even had a honeymoon.
Yeah, yeah. So as time went by, I realized that in China, the Chinese people, majority of them, they just cough and spit anyhow.
Hmm.
They just like spit everywhere. So I'm like, what's going on here? Like back in Liberia, if you do that, even if you cough without putting your hands to your mouth, everybody will just look at you, in that kind of odd way. But like it's normal. Like people just cough and spit anyhow. And I found it to be very nasty. So I was wondering, like, can you people just cover your mouth a little bit? But they don't understand. So it was really difficult for me to adapt, and most especially the Chinese food. I'm somebody from a country where I eat rice literally every day.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Yeah, yeah, you name
And,
it.
and you came to a Genjo, by the way. Genjo is
Yeah,
in the south.
yeah. So
Yeah,
imagine the
but
food there.
that's little better because I think the people in the south of China eat a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
rice. But if
Yeah.
you have moved to the north, I came to
Oh.
the north my first time, the first 5 years, 6 years actually of my life in China was in the north. And so the major food in the north is not rice either, is the noodles, right? So in fact, at many restaurants you don't find
So, oh no, imagine it was hard for me. I kept looking for rice. So then somebody said, so a guy from my school said, oh, they have fried rice. So I was so excited, like I'm going to eat fried rice. It's not like the fried rice back home that they give you big chicken and put a lot of ingredients in the food. So they just like put the rice and the vegetable and the eggs.
our fun.
Yeah. And I wasn't so used to the Chinese spice. So it didn't look tasty to me, you know. So it was really difficult, and I didn't even get pepper in the food. So I'm like, I can't deal with this. I was really struggling to adapt. Yeah. So this is just my experience of cultural shock in China.
Wow. So that's very interesting. From theory, from studies, people usually say that on the Irish majority, that your first 1 to 3 months you may see some little bit of difference. You may have cultural shock, but on the average, you you most likely may be in that honeymoon stage.
Mhm.
You don't understand the language, by the way.
Mhm.
So some of the things that may really shock you may not shock you. You may think that you're a star. Like in China, right? If you in many of the cities, even the big cities like Beijing, like Shanghai, like Guangzhou, you don't expect that. It's still happening, right?
Yes.
Like like big cities like Shanghai, like Beijing, you have a lot of foreigners, so you don't expect people to be surprised to see a foreigner.
Exactly. Yeah.
But well, you would definitely have the experience in some quarter where because you're a foreigner, you appear, especially if you are an African, that you completely look different, or you're black, you look completely different from everyone around. People are gonna stare at you like, oh, I'm gonna speak Chinese. And if you do not understand what you're saying, well, you may be like, well, everyone looking at me, and sometimes they want to ask you, can I take a picture with you? You may feel
Yeah.
you're a star,
Mhm.
so you may not really get a shock. But then I think with time, after 2 3 months, when you start to understand the locals, you start to understand the things that they say,
Mhm.
then you may start refusing that you don't want to take picture. Because I remember the first 2 3 months, I didn't have problem with Chinese asking me, can we take a picture? I was like, oh, of course. Of course, like everybody. I remember walking to the supermarket one time, and I was like a star. Everybody came like want to take picture with me, and people were just taking my picture from every angle. I was like, wow, and they were saying things. I didn't understand what they were saying, so I didn't really care. But fast forward 6 7 8 months later, when I start to hear what they were saying before coming to ask me for a picture, now I started to check people's phone. Like, so, but that was very interesting about you right there.
Yeah.
Uh, at the arrival, and you were like completely
Yeah. That's
you were
interesting
shocked.
some
Yeah,
things. Yeah.
yeah. Like the food with the transportation system,
Yeah.
and everything looked different. Well,
Mhm.
let's talk about, like people who stay away for 8 years, 10 years, and then you go back to your country, like your situation. You've been here 3 years, maybe after 5 6 years, and you go back to Liberia. There is something we call re-entrance shock. So when you came to China, you could not even like get your way through the subway, the taxi, and you were very confused, right?
Yeah.
The food and everything. now I believe you can sit right in your dormitory room and send for your food and just get everything done so easy. Now
Mhm.
you get used to this life for these years, and then you go back home. You're going to have another shock from your own culture,
Mhm.
right? I tell you that for sure, right? I went home after 6 years. I went back home. I got used to the kind of bathroom here where you just use the toilet and you just, press the button, or sometimes you just get up and the fresh, it flush by yourself and all of that. And so I went home. Of course, I live in that system. I have lived in many houses there where you have to get water in the bathroom before you
Mhm.
use it. So when you enter a bathroom, you have to make sure there's water and all of that. But I got used to not checking whether there is water or not. So going back home, many times I go to the bathroom, I don't check whether there is water or not. I expect in my
Yeah.
mind, water is there, right? And then after using the bathroom, after using the toilet, I found myself literally pressing the button on the commode, and then oh, I have to get like water to do it the
The
Liberian
like.
way. Yeah. So a couple of times, my wife caught me in the bathroom. She would just laugh like, "You think you are in China?" So transportation system, right?
Mhm.
So I kind of calculate like, okay, I need to get to this place by this time. Maybe well, I can dodge the traffic. I forget about traffic. Like in my mind, you can use the subway or you can use the bus. So
Yeah.
then I get outside. I remember, oh, you need to stand for an hour to get a taxi. Like then I start to get to my mind, oh, there is no subway here. You're not gonna have buses just running anyhow. So you have to adjust your time. But many times, like and standing waiting for hours, and I forgot the sign, right? In Morovia, every direction, if you stopping a taxi, there's
Yeah. The
sign, right?
traffic sign
Whether
with
you're doing your
directions.
fingers up or you're doing this, or you're doing this. So I forgot all the sign. So here I'm standing on Brush Street in Morovia. I'm standing on Brush Street. I'm supposed to go to Effie, and I don't know what to do. So I'm watching, and then I'm saying Effie, Effie, and all the taxis are passing by me, right? Because I should know what to do. So I see everyone. Some people doing their hands like this. Some people doing their hands like this. Some people
Yeah.
doing their hand like this. I don't know which one of the signs for FE. Like I'm lost, literally lost. I stood there. So I like no. I think I need to get a car. Right. I have to do everything in a couple of months to get my own car because like I'm lost. But come
Yeah.
on, this is the system I grew up in. Like I knew what to do and run. But just 6 years. I went
Yeah.
back and lost. So there is this re-entry shock as well. So when you stay in another culture for long and you go back to your culture, your own culture, where maybe you were born, you used to doing things, you still got shocked.
Yeah.
So what do you think gonna be your own cultural shock when you go back home?
Okay, so the very first thing is the safety. Okay, so in China, on the street, wherever you are, you can hold your phone safely. You can do whatever you want to do with your phone. But in Liberia, when I was there, and I don't think it has changed, on Broad Street, you just can't hold your phone anyhow. Even your bag, I mean, you have to, hold your bag tightly. Because if you don't, somebody will correct your mistake. Maybe those Zocos, they might run away with your phone, or maybe your bag, or steal from you. It's something that, might be a problem for me to completely adapt to. And on the other hand, is about the food. So I've really, adapted to the Chinese food. Like I don't even like cooking. Sorry to say.
Oh,
Yeah. So I just prefer fast food because it makes things work fast when you're hungry. So I'm so used to the Chinese food and I liked it so much. And some of the Chinese food don't have pepper. So my appetite for pepper has kind of reduced. So if I go back, maybe it might be difficult for me to eat a lot of pepper in food, because maybe it might, give me some problem or burn in my stomach. I don't know, but I'm not sure about that. Even now, I don't even like a lot of pepper again. So
Wow.
yeah, these are just few
But
things that.
you used
mm,
to love pepper before coming to
a lot.
China?
Yes, yes,
Wow.
yes.
So
I
now
really.
you're Chinese Liberian.
Yeah. Even the tabaki, you wouldn't be able to put a lot of pepper in it for me now.
Wow. 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 So
Yeah.
what is the best, if I should term it, the most important thing you have actually adapted to here? I know you listed a couple of them, but what is the best, the most important thing you think you have adapted to in this culture, in
Oh,
the Chinese culture?
in China, I've adapted to phone addiction.
Phone.
Yeah, because I have adapted to my phone in a more positive way. You
Okay.
know, like because literally everything you do in China, you do it with your phone.
Hmm.
Even your online classes, you don't even have to always use your computer. You have to use your phone. So
Yeah.
like even if my VPN is not on, I just feel more comfortable with my phone. So if I don't have my phone 1 second, I feel like something, a part of me is missing. Yeah. So it's something I've really adapted to in the easy lifestyle. The
Yeah,
easy
life is
life,
easy here. It's just a click.
like
A lot of things is just a click. Yeah.
yeah, sure. Everything you want, you have. And the fast food. Because in Liberia, there are limited fast food, centers. And it's kind of way too expensive. But
Yeah.
here, yeah,
I don't remember how many times I got food from diner restaurant. That's the one I do
no.
remember.
Oh, no, no, no. Those
But
places
I guess I've been to McDonald's, KFC a lot of time around here.
many times. Yeah, many
Yeah.
times. So I've gotten so used to the fast food, and it's something that I don't want to ever forget about. If I go back to Liberia, they don't have, so it will be a little bit difficult to adapt.
But well, I think there are also positive thing, right? From our own culture. We are from the same culture, so this conversation is kind of a little bit biased. We'll be talking a lot about Liberia. I hope we're from two different culture, and then comparing it to the Chinese culture is gonna be a little
Mhm.
different. But yes, state taking into consideration our Liberian culture is kind of more similar to many African culture, though.
Yeah.
If you could choose three aspects of your culture to put in a time box, for the
Hmm.
future, like what will you put in it?
Oh, so the very first thing, the most precious one to me is Liberian history.
Mm,
Yeah, our country history. I wouldn't want it to ever die. And second of all is that the Liberian traditional clothes.
mm. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I
a
still wear, summer. I still wear my African shirt.
yeah, yeah. It's a representation. It's a strong representation of our country and our origin, all of that. So I would like to safely keep the Liberian culture, the Liberian history, and the way in Liberia the youth respect the adults. Even though somebody may say, oh, now it has changed a little bit, but I think if you go over to the villages, you will see that the youth respect the elders a lot. Like you can even, like, maybe when you are on a bus, or maybe on the taxi, or even in a gallery, when there is an old person, you the young person, you need to wake up for that old person to sit. So that's something I really admire about our culture, and I would like to, yeah, keep it
Yeah,
safe.
our history and our custom,
Traditional clothes,
and
yeah,
then the respect. I think that's
yeah,
true. I agree with you. I definitely agree with you on that.
yeah,
So, talking about cultural shock. Another opportunity we have as international students or experts is that apart from the culture you live in, the locals, you also meet people from different countries. So
yeah.
I have met people from practically every part of the world. Some of the countries are like, this is my first time here in this country. Yeah, so I have friends practically from every country now. So what has surprised you when you meet whenever you when you met people from other countries, like other different things? Don't forget about the Chinese. Like here, people
Mhm.
from East Africa or from the southern part of Africa or from other Asian country. Oh,
Mhm.
from outside, what really surprised you?
Okay,
Anything?
so some people that I've met from Europe, majority of them are vegetarians, you know. So back home, I know that we are meat eaters. so so when I see those people like I only eat veggies, I'm a vegan. It's kind of shocking to me. Like I don't even feel full, if I just eat only vegetables. It's not possible. And people from other African countries, what I've noticed is the way they speak.
Mm.
Yeah, the way they speak, I find it very different. Like they literally speak like, okay, they claim to speak like British, especially people
I like that. You claim.
yeah, they claim to speak like the British, especially people from Zambia. I have a couple of Zambian friends, and I have friends from Uganda and Kenya and other, African countries. Yeah, the way they speak is far way different from the way we speak as Liberians. And I find the fact that they speak with accent. So I tell them, you speak with accent. And and they're like, no, we don't speak. We just speak clear English. I'm like, you are fighting the words. Take your time. Yeah. So these are some of the things I've really noticed from others. And some other Westerners have realized that no matter how old you think they are, in Africa, maybe a very oh, okay. I think he had some complications.
Sorry, I think there was a interruption there with the network.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I was just on my
Yes.
last point. I
Yes,
was
sorry,
saying
there was
that
an interruption there with my internet.
mhm, some Westerners like I meet, they no matter how old you think they
Yeah.
are in
Yeah, I
Africa,
think I heard you talking about the yeah, the East Africans had to speak.
uh-huh,
Yeah, that's true. And I think that's come to the issue of accent, right? So people from different part of the world, I think we all do have accent. And
yeah,
people, we kind of like, I don't understand you, but I don't think I can speak like the East African, right? Uh, Generally, what I try to do is like I speak in the in in meetings that have people from different part of the world, like in international fellowship.
yeah,
I have the opportunity sometimes to speak, to preach. So I do not try to speak like people from East Africa or like an American or like people
exactly,
from UK. I definitely stay speak as a Liberian, but speak standard English
yeah,
that they can understand what I'm saying. So
hmm,
accent, that's okay. I think if I can be recognized that this is a Liberian speaking and you can understand what I'm saying, that's I'm
yeah,
perfect with that. And the fact you can speak, I can recognize that you're from East Africa, and you can speak, I can recognize that you are an American. You can speak, I can recognize that you are from the UK. I can recognize that you are Chinese. Then it's
mhm,
okay that when I'm speak, you can recognize that I'm from West Africa.
yeah,
Once you can understand me, that's okay. But I think one of the issues is that people have problem with accent. I do not struggle with people accent. Just speak for me to understand you. I think that's okay for me.
simple, yeah, sure, you're right about that.
Yeah, so as we go on, I think we the internet interrupting our time, it kind of delaying us, but yes, we hope we go better. Uh, have you ever felt confused by the action of other people you met, maybe people from someone from another culture, and the action?
Yeah.
Let me give you a gist of what I had. My first year in China, actually, we have a lot of international students from all around the world, and we were invited to a birthday party. So where from where I come from, uh, I know when I'm invited to a party, I just need to carry a gift and nothing else, right? Everything there is In fact, I don't even have to eat. I can go prepared to just eat and drink and enjoy myself. And so we were invited to a birthday party. So my countrymen and I, okay, we were both from Liberia, so we're like, okay, what gift can we get for this, birthday celebrant? We decided, okay, we will get her a gift, and then we can, take it to the party. When we got to the entrance, we were told to pay, so we were shocked. Pay for what? And the receptionist told us that everyone going for the dinner needed to pay for, it was a buffet and there was a flat rate. Everyone needed to pay for what they were going to eat. So we're like, we were invited. There was a party, invited. And and they told us if you don't pay, you're not going to enter because everyone invited here actually need to pay for everything they're going to eat in there and then take your gift. So I was like, but we brought gifts, so are we going to take the gift? But that shocked me, right? So later I gotta know that, well, you don't go to party and just carry gift and you're going to eat, right? So you need to go and pay. It's just going to have dinner, together, but you pay for everything. And so when we had party and we invited our friends, they will come prepared to pay, and then they will ask us after eating, oh, how much we need to pay, and I would be like, we invited you. I invited you. You don't need to pay anything. Just eat and you know. Yeah. So usually I found myself inviting like I made female friends. I just want to know the person better, or like schoolmate or stuff. I want to talk. Like, okay, can we have dinner or can we have lunch? And they would be like, no, no, I'm sorry. And I'll be like, why? No, I'm not prepared. So then I pick it up. They either telling me they don't have money, they're not prepared to go and pay and stuff like that. And so I have to clarify that every time I was inviting somebody for dinner or for lunch.
Yeah.
I'll say, hey, I'm taking
Okay,
you for
I'll
dinner.
pay.
Yeah, in my country, I pay. So hey, don't worry. And they're, oh, okay, 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 okay. Like, but that was really shocking to me. Like, I am invited to a party and I go and pay. Oh, okay. And okay, I think I need to take back to Liberia, right? People coming to my
Yeah.
party need to pay. So
But
tell me,
I think we
mhm.
we actually have the same. I don't have much to say about this. We have had the same experience. So I've been invited on series of birthday parties, and before the party, they'll create a group chat, and they will add everyone to that group chat, and they'll be like, "Okay, this person birthday party is coming, and we are supposed to pay this amount." So I'm like, "You want you are asking me to celebrate their birthday for you?" Are you inviting me for your birthday party? Like they do it like it's literally like a tradition. They
Yeah.
always do that. They will tell you, oh, pay the money. And when you pay, all of you will go, you will give the money to one person, and then they will go and buy food. And your own food, you have to sing happy birthday to somebody, and after you you get out. Oh, I'm like in Liberia when they call us to party. I mean, sometimes we don't even carry gift.
Yeah.
And even if you don't
Just
carry
gonna
gift,
eat.
you will still eat. And the thing about it, you will eat and enjoy yourself, and you can even pack food and carry home.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's not like that. Yeah, it's really disappointing, I must say.
Yeah, that's a complete different thing. Yeah, you learn that as well. So language wise, you studying integrated medicine. How is your language teacher different from maybe teacher from your culture? Because you did a first degree in Liberia, so you have a college experience. Now in a complete different culture, I know you have to learn Chinese language. Is that right?
Oh yeah, I just had to learn the Chinese language basics because I'm
Okay,
studying in English. Yeah,
okay, okay.
yeah.
But
So
if you have to see patients in your professional practice, your
yeah,
patient is going to be Chinese.
So yeah, so okay, the thing about okay, what have really improved my Chinese language is the fact that I have to do my internship at the hospital, and
Okay.
in the hospital, all of the patients speak Chinese. They don't know English. So even though like I studied in the classroom in English, in the hospital you must know Chinese to be able to operate and stuff like that. So the difference between my Chinese language teacher here and back in Africa is that Africa they are more. My instructors don't have time to pamper you. That's the
Mm,
thing. When they tell you this deadline, you are supposed to submit a homework. They ain't coming back to remind you. But your Chinese teacher will be sending you messages like, I didn't receive your homework. Can you send your work? Sending you emails. So, so maybe I think they are more moderate.
mm,
They are more soft. But
yeah.
yeah, back in Africa, our teachers are not soft. But the teachers back home, the good thing about them is that they really push you to study harder.
Mm,
They
yeah.
give you
Make
a
you kind of
lot.
independent, right?
Yes, you must be independent. And even the thing about exam is that no teacher is coming to give you sometimes open book exam. No.
No. You gotta be independent. You gotta work extra hard.
Yes,
Yeah.
they'll give you lots of lessons. You have to study it. You come on the exam and the exam will be extremely hard. So the learning process back home is more challenging. I must say,
Mm,
it's more
yeah. So
challenging.
please don't get lazy.
No, no, no,
Don't
no,
allow your Chinese teacher make you lazy. Yeah.
no. I can't
All
be.
right. This is kind of a little bit personal. I would say that. Will you ever consider living permanently in a country other than your home country? Wow, why not? I don't want to be specific, like to say China, but any country, because I think it kind of give a start, right? You live in another country, when you do foreign studies, it kind of give you the urge whether you're ready to live outside your own
Yeah.
culture or not.
Mhm.
Would that be something you will opt for if you have the opportunity?
The opportunity to live out of my country permanently.
Mm-hmm.
um, that's a difficult one. Okay, I will tell you no. There is nowhere like home. No matter
Yeah.
how I find other countries to be so developed with an easy life, and you get good pay, I still wouldn't live abroad permanently. You know,
Wow.
one day it doesn't matter how long. Okay, I may stay abroad for a while, maybe longer time, but there will come a time that in my mind, I want to go back home, and that's where I need to leave my legacy.
Hmm.
Your people must be able to remember you for something even before outsiders do. So, like, no matter how long I stay abroad, I want to live in Liberia permanently someday when, when I have an established life. Because places like Liberia, once you are established,
Hmm.
you enjoy the beauty of the country.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And
With you. I'm on
besides,
my bike. I'm on my way back home. I can tell you that.
yeah, yeah, sure, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing. And besides, if you are educated and developed and have money, you got a good life in Liberia. It's more easy and it's more peaceful. You don't have stress. You don't have to be worrying about going against somebody's country law, even if you don't know like this is
Renewing
unfair.
visa every year and all of that.
Exactly. You just have to be free. Yeah, the freedom back home is something that really pushed me to want to go back someday.
Okay. So last day before we go, do you think when you're in room, do as the room do is always a good advice? Many times you hear people say that, right? If you're in room, behave as the Romans, right?
Yeah.
Do if you're in Rome, do as the Romans do. Is it always a good advice? Like we're in China,
Hmm.
um, the Chinese work hard. The Chinese students are very, very hard working. You can attest to that, right? The
Yeah, they are.
teachers put you, yeah, they may be. I think they're kind of a little bit soft on international students, but still, they ready put you. Say,
Mhm.
they Even they themselves, they may have money, they may have very high status, but they are humble, right? You
Yeah,
see a
so humble.
professor with a very expensive car, probably like a presidential jeep, but
Yeah,
they pocket and ride bicycle sometimes just to exercise.
exactly.
Very, very humble. You may meet the president of the university and you
Mhm.
pass by him with no idea, except someone said that's the president. You're like, what? Right? So there are a lot of things here that is completely different from our culture. So
Mhm.
sometimes you want to be tempted to say like, "Whoa, dude." Some you don't like it, some you don't accept it, some kind of bring depression and break you down and all of that.
Yeah.
But sometimes people will tell you, "Hey, you're not here forever. There is nowhere like home. Now you are here. Do as the Romans do. Do it the way they want to do it, and then when you get out, you can sort yourself out." What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's very important to do as the Romans do. It's almost like adapt to other people culture to where you find yourself. It's very important because it gives you the ability to explore more opportunities. Like you cannot, keep yourself to yourself. Like I cannot do this. If you cannot do this, then why travel abroad? That's the
Mm,
thing. Because there is beauty in learning about other countries' culture. So in China, literally all of the teachers they are called 老师.
mm-hmm,
But yeah, but right, we that are studying English, maybe we can choose maybe not to say 老师, maybe we can just choose to say oh professor this and professor that. But it's something that everyone says is a sign of respect, like teacher, like 老师. And if you see an older person, they an older lady, everyone calls her ai. Even in the local restaurant,
mm-hmm,
so it's something that I've seen them doing. It's something that I decided to follow. And even my Chinese friends, like the way I see them humble themselves to the teacher, to the
sure.
professor, yeah, I have brought myself way too low. Like just like them, it's something that we must do. And even if you see them eating, it's something that make them happy about certain
Mm,
food, even if you don't like, just
mm,
adapt.
yeah.
Yeah. It makes them feel, like more comfortable to be around you. So with that, with these things, they can be able to recommend you sometimes. You never know.
Mm,
Like when there
yeah.
are yeah, when there are opportunities, they can tell you like, oh, this one she has adapted to the Chinese culture. So maybe this kind of opportunity is good for you. So I think it's good to adapt to people's culture. Do as the Romans do. If you go back home, you go back to your culture. Yeah.
Yeah, you can do re-entrance. Okay,
Yeah.
so I want to play one of your one of the things that really encouraged me to invite you here to talk about this. I've watched a couple of your motivational video and it's really encouraging. So I want to
Oh,
play one of your videos. Yeah,
mhm.
and you said something very important in that video. And after that, then we give our parting words to go. So let me play
Okay.
that shortly.
Okay. Okay. So I always tell a lot of people, live your best life you envision now. Do what you desire. Be happy. Live in peace. You owe yourself so much that anyone else does. You cannot imagine the amount of mind relieving freedom you will have when you begin holding yourself accountable for all of your actions and start correcting your mistakes and living happily. Stop waiting on people or tomorrow to bring you happiness or peace. Appreciate yourself now and love yourself some more. Never compare your measure of success with others. We all have our own stories and we tell differently. There will always be battles, challenges, obstacles, and a lot more. But let not your point of target be the challenges. Rather, focus on the primary. I know sometimes we feel intimidated by the measure of wealth of others, but know that there will always be people that may seem to be going faster than you are. Don't panic. Do not allow yourself to hit. We all have our own time zones. You don't have to envy or get jealous of anybody. You do not have to measure your height with others. Sail in your own path. What matters the most is for all of us to succeed. You do not even know what your life will be tomorrow. I mean, we all barely know our destinations. But our hope in the future allows us to expect certainty. So, stay hopeful. I love you and I care about you. See you next time.
So that was really good. That was a very powerful message, about working hard and stay
Thank
positive,
you.
and that was really, really, really powerful. That, yeah, and
Be cautious with whom you disclose your plans to.
sorry.
Some people may not have the same.
Sorry. Yeah. So
Okay.
you have a lot of messages in these videos that you share, right? Very powerful messages, and that tells me a lot about the kind of personality you are, the kind of personality you want to build, and what's your perspective about life, and that for me it speaks a lot. Where a lot of people look up to me, and people come in my inbox, people, a lot of young people contact me. Oh, Dr. Bala, you inspired me. I'm like, what did I do? Right. And sometimes, there are people who look up to me to just advise them and tell them, what to do. But like in China here, I was talking to somebody who uh, want to study medicine in China, and I said to them, "Well, I think it's currently I'm in a hospital, and I'm practically doing street clinical as a specialist. So I see patients, I go to surgery. Even at this level, I have been in an office where patients come and they just see a black doctor, even though I'm all in my lab coat, and they're like, I'm like, calm down in Chinese. Samala ni dia jauh zi, and then just that Samala, they're like, oh, ni wei sure chong hua ma. That calmed them down so much, right? And I have been, in a situation where I'm the only doctor around, and the nurse is calling for a doctor to do something, and this patient, see the foreign doctor, and I have to answer that patient and tell them, explain the procedure to them, and do the procedure. Just imagine if I didn't speak Chinese.
Yeah.
That's just going to be very much frustrating. So
Yeah.
one of the advice I have said, to students who studying, even if you're studying medicine in English, I encourage you to learn Chinese. And by the way, it's
Yeah.
not easy. It's not
It's
easy.
not
I'm
easy.
not going to tell you it's easy.
It's extremely
Yeah,
difficult.
yeah, it's difficult. But the first thing is, if you can learn medicine, I think for me that was one of the way that I evaluated my own strength. When I said to myself, well, if I could overcome Chinese language, then medical school, forget it. I can overcome
Yeah.
it. Right. So that's one of the way you can evaluate your strength. And practically, my mind was not to do anything in China, go back home, work, and actually felt I kind of felt like after 6 years, went back home, seeing patients in Chinese, doing all my work in English. I mean, in English, I like, what did I learn Chinese? But then 2 years later, here I am in China to specialize. Then my
Yeah.
Chinese become useful. And so I want to borrow that from what Dr. Ben Carson said in his hand, gifted in his book, Gifted Hands. He said, nothing you learn is wasted. Nothing absolutely is wasted. So yes, whatever culture you find yourself in, I agree with you. Adapt, right?
Yeah.
Adapt. Do as the Romans do when you are in Rome, right?
Sure.
When you go back to Africa, you do as the African do.
Sure.
Or else you're gonna make life very difficult for you. A lot of people are depressed. A lot of people, I know a lot of people, a lot of students who are in China. They still living their life. They haven't changed their time zone. They still sleep because when it's they still using their home timing here. So when it's in the
Hmm.
day in China, it's that kind of the night hour from whatever country they come from, so they sleep. So
Wow.
when it's night
Yeah.
in China,
Wait.
it's like a day from where they
Yeah.
come, and they I work. So even if they have to go to class, they sleep in class. They are not productive in a day. Okay, maybe your first 2 3 months, that's something you will fight with. But you
Sure.
will stay here 2 years, 3 years, and you stay living. You are in China, living outside China. That's just crazy, and you refuse to change, right?
Mhm.
And you have people who, refuse to learn the language, refuse to change, their timing setting, refuse to change. So come on, are you going to live in a country where you can't absolutely do anything for yourself? You have to
Mhm.
have somebody to take you to every official, area to interpret for you. Is that the life you want to live? Oh, true.
Imagine.
Just come on. So that's terrible. Are you going to live in an expert community forever? So what are you going to learn about the culture? You can't say anything. And so yes, I'm going to say if you move into any culture, the shock going to come. You'll get pissed, you'll get angry, but adapt, and
Yeah.
that's the only way you can survive. Because I think that's how re-entrance shock comes. When you go back home, you're going to see the difference. But if you live in China for 3 years and go back home and you don't see no difference, even in your lifestyle, your sleep, and nothing, then you didn't live in China. You were in China and living completely different life. Yeah, but I think that is really, really important, and this postcast should send that message abroad. And thank you for your motivational messages, and thank you for the one I just played. I think that's gonna play in here, right?
Uh,
We don't need to look at what people doing though, but your own life. You
mhm.
can make it the way you want it to work, and looking at your own theory, but aligning it with a lot of positive theory as well. And so, thank you so much for coming. What would you want to say as a parting word?
Oh, okay. So I would just like to extend my appreciation to you for organizing this show. It is very inspirational, just as it is inspiration with Dr. Ballah. And I've had the chance to learn a lot of things from you today. And you are a very, optimistic person. You are a very friendly person also, and you made me feel really welcome. I think I told you previously that no, I don't want any live video because I'm a shy person. Yeah, so
Yeah.
so when I had a conversation with you, after that conversation, I felt relief. I'm like, okay, this like okay, he's like a big brother for me. So let me go. I believe
Yeah.
you'll
So it's
be.
yeah. I think it's a conversation,
Yeah.
and I think you did pretty well. We have a little bit of a network interruption, but I think
Yeah. Sure.
yeah, that's been very kind. And my hope is that we can inspire many other people,
Yeah.
right? I had so many people that have inspired me from distance, and my heart is that I hope I can inspire as many people I can, as well as other people
Yes, you have
inspire
no
me.
that.
People still do inspire me, and I feel like I should give back.
Yes,
So
you should.
I'm glad that you could come in and we could have this conversation. I
Yeah.
believe our viewers and our listeners were blessed, and put it that way, they were encouraged, they were motivated, they were inspired, and we hope to be back another time.
Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us today. That was a special time with Joel Chuku Conway, and we were talking about cultural shock today. And we just had a friendly conversation, and I wish you, uh, I hope you enjoy it, and hope to see you again another time.